Hey everyone, before we plunge into this raw, soul-shaking tale that's been clawing its way out of me, I've got a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It keeps this channel alive, means everything to me, and trust me, you won't want to miss a heartbeat of this. It's a story of betrayal, survival, and a rebirth that'll grip you tight and hold on. Let's dive in. My name's Lauren Bennett, and at 34, I've walked through a storm I never saw brewing. 6 months ago, I stood stranded in Montepulciano, a tiny Italian hill town. Cobblestone streets twisting through pastel houses, the air rich with espresso, rosemary, and the faint tang of wine barrels, watching my life unravel in the dust of a rental car's taillights. "Let's see how she gets back," my husband Ethan laughed, his voice cutting through the warm evening as he slammed the Fiat's door. The red glow shrank around a bend, swallowed by the Tuscan dusk, leaving me with the echo of his friend's cackles and a sinking dread. This wasn't a prank, it was a blade to the gut. I stood frozen mid-sentence from our fight. "Ethan, you're drunk, let's just go." Now a ghost against the roar of their engine fading into the hills. "He's coming back," I whispered, my voice trembling, drawing curious glances from locals at sidewalk tables, their wine glasses catching the last light. "He's just mad, he'll cool off." But the knot in my stomach tightened as minutes bled into an hour, the sky bruising purple over a town I couldn't even navigate, its name, Montepulciano, tripping over my tongue like a foreign curse. Ethan and I had been married 7 years. A polished veneer stretched over a fraying core in Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood. He was a corporate lawyer, climbing the ladder at a glassy downtown firm. His name whispered in boardrooms. I was the wife who traded graphic design dreams for a life of gala planning, keeping our condo's skyline views spotless, our social calendar a well-oiled machine. We'd met at Northwestern. He was all sharp wit and ambition, sketching case notes in the library while I nursed coffee, my sketchbooks spilling with ideas for boutique studios, modern lofts, art I'd never finish. Those early days crackled, late-night talks over greasy pizza, promises of a shared future. His hand brushing mine as we mapped out dreams. But by 2023 the spark had dulled. His late nights stretched into weekends, my design gigs faded to nothing under his gentle but firm, "We don't need the money, babe, I need you here." I'd nod, swallowing the ache, convincing myself it was love, not control. This Italy trip was his sacred annual reunion with college buddies. Pete, Ryan, Jake, a pack of loud suits who tolerated me as the reluctant plus one. I'd hesitated. Our marriage was a tightrope, threads snapping, but Ethan pressed. "It'll be fun," he said, kissing my forehead, his breath minty from gum masking last night's whiskey. "You'll love Tuscany, wine, views, the works." I packed my bags, ignoring the unease, hoping the sun would mend us. That day in Montepulciano, lunch had spiraled out of control, Ethan pounding Sangiovese like it was water, his friends egging him on, their voices a raucous chorus. "She's always controlling you, man," Pete smirked, his buzz cut glinting under the cafe awning as he flagged the waiter for another round. I'd pushed back, quietly at first, then sharp. "Ethan, enough, you're slurring. We should head to Siena." He'd stumbled after me outside, eyes glassy, voice venomous. "You're so perfect, huh? Always nagging, can't let me breathe." The fight erupted, years of buried rot spilling out. Me: "You're never home, you've checked out." Him: "You're ungrateful, look at the life I've given you." It turned ugly fast, locals glancing over as we shouted by the cafe's ivy-draped wall. "Your purse has your passport, right?" he'd sneered, yanking open the car door. "Figure it out, Miss Know-It-All, you're so damn smart." Pete's laugh rang out. "Let's see how she gets back." And they peeled off, tires kicking gravel into the air, their laughter a fading taunt as the Fiat vanished. I stood there, heart hammering, breath shallow, telling myself it was a bluff. Ethan loved me, he wouldn't leave me here, not really. But as the sun dipped, casting long shadows across the piazza, doubt clawed in. Night draped the town, its charm souring into menace. Narrow alleys whispering with footsteps, voices I couldn't parse. I rummaged through my purse. €70, $42 American. Not enough for a flight home, barely a night's lodging. My credit cards. Ethan had them. He'd offered that morning, smirking as my tiny bag bulged with sunscreen, a guidebook, a half-eaten granola bar. "I've got it, babe," he'd said, slipping them into his wallet. His chivalry now a shackle I hadn't clocked. I wandered, legs trembling, the town's beauty mocking me. Vines climbing walls, shutters creaking, a distant church bell tolling. I found a pensione above a bakery. €30 for a room with a lumpy mattress, a chipped sink, and a bulb flickering like a dying star. The old woman at the desk, grey bun, flour-dusted apron, took my cash, her eyes softening as she patted my arm. No English between us, but a quiet pity I felt in my bones. "He's blocked me," I muttered, staring at my phone. 40 calls to Ethan, straight to voicemail. Texts to Pete, Ryan, Jake, all bouncing back, read receipts blank. This wasn't a drunken slip. It was calculated, a humiliation etched in silence. Sleep came in jagged pieces. Nightmares of Ethan's laugh, waking to check my phone, panic surging as the screen stayed dark. Morning crept in, weak light filtering through grimy curtains, and I clung to a fragile hope. He'd roll up, hungover, sheepish, spinning it as my fault for overreacting to a joke. I'd be furious but relieved, ready to limp back to Chicago, to the life I'd sculpted for him. Fundraisers in tight dresses, dinners with clients, my sketchbooks buried in a closet, my voice shrinking. Day 2, I stretched my cash. €3 for a stale panini. Circling Montepulciano, peering into hotels with terracotta roofs, trattorias with checkered cloths, the piazza where tourists snapped selfies by a fountain. No Ethan, no group. They'd moved on to Florence, their itinerary a sacred scroll I'd been erased from. I met Anna, a British expat running a gelato stand. Her blonde bob swinging as she scooped pistachio for me, free, her green eyes sharp. "Bloke trouble?" she asked, accent crisp as she leaned on the counter. I nodded, spilling it. Ethan's stunt, the car disappearing, my abandonment. "Bloody bastards," she said, sliding me a water. "Stay tonight. My flat's tiny, cat's a grump, but it's yours." Her couch sagged, her tabby glared, but her kindness steadied me. We talked late. She'd fled a cheating fiancé in London, landed here 5 years ago, built a life selling scoops and sarcasm. "You don't need him," she said, pouring tea. "You're tougher than you think. Give it a day, you'll see." Day 3, Anna nudged me to the police. Her Italian fluent, her hand firm on my arm as we walked. The officer, a bored man with a thick mustache and coffee-stained shirt, shrugged. Tourists ditched here weren't rare, filing a report in halting English that felt like shouting into fog. "They'll do sod all," Anna muttered, hugging me goodbye, slipping me €20. "You've got this, don't let him win." I drifted to a pawn shop. Its window a jumble of gold chains and tarnished watches. My wedding ring, 3 carats, Ethan's upgrade on our 5th anniversary. A gaudy swap for the simple band I'd cherished, glinted like a shackle. "You deserve better," he'd said then, sliding it on, his smile tight. Now I twisted it off, the shopkeeper offering €450. Highway robbery, but enough. "America. Call family?" he asked, counting euros into my shaking hand. I hesitated, Dad stern, "I warned you about that guy." Mom's pitying sighs, friends I'd lost to Ethan's slow, suffocating pull.
Well,
The bus station glowed faintly, its board flashing. Rome, Naples, Athens, Crete. "Greece," I told the agent. her gray eyes gentle as she watched me clutch my ticket like a lifeline. Furthest coastal village you've got, Agios Nikolaos. 14 hours, buses rattling over potholes, a ferry swaying on choppy waves. Landed me on Crete's edge, whitewashed houses spilling down cliffs, salt air sharp with olive groves and fish. My phone died mid-journey, sandals shredded, stomach a hollow growl. I stumbled toward the village square, exhaustion blurring the edges. Rage at Ethan, fear of the void, a flicker of something wild, unshackled. The sun sank, gilding the Aegean, and a calm I hadn't felt in years washed over me. Ethan meant to crush me. He'd handed me a crack to slip through. Hey, if you're hooked already, and I hope you are, drop a quick subscribe. It's free, keeps me going, and there's so much more to unpack. This is just the spark igniting the fire. Back to it. The Greek sun scorched as I wandered from Agios Nikolaos, my tourist sandals disintegrating, blisters weeping blood, my water bottle dry hours ago. Olive groves flanked the dirt path, silver leaves shimmering like coins. Then my knees buckled, the ground rushing up, dust in my mouth. Cosmos Kyria! A voice pierced the haze, rough hands rolling me over. Elena, deep-lined face, warm brown eyes shadowed by a straw hat, loomed, pressing a canteen to my lips. Water jolted me awake, cool and sharp. Lauren, I rasped, pointing to myself, my throat raw. She nodded. Elena, hauling me up, her small frame wiry with strength, guiding me to a stone farmhouse tucked in the trees, its walls weathered by decades of wind and sun. Inside, herbs dangled from beams, rosemary, thyme, a wood stove hummed, and Nikos, her husband, silver mustache, sun-dark skin rough as bark, nodded warily from the doorway, wiping hands on a rag. They fed me lentil soup, thick with onions from their garden, and gave me a cot under a quilt patched with faded flowers, their silence a balm to my frayed nerves. Morning woke me with roosters crowing and bread baking. Elena handed me a faded dress, too big, once her daughter Sophia's, its hem frayed but clean. Over coffee, black, bitter as grief, and honey-drenched bread still warm from the oven, I tried explaining. Phone gestures, tears spilling, Ethan's betrayal tumbling out in broken fragments. Husband, left me. Italy, I managed, my voice cracking. Elena's nod was deep, her hand resting on mine, understanding beyond the words I couldn't find. I offered my €400 to leave, fumbling with the bills. She shook her head, pointing to my ruined feet, red, swollen, the rain pattering outside like a soft warning. Stay, she said, her only English, firm yet tender, her eyes locking on mine. Guilt gnawed, I was an intruder astray, but she opened a wooden box, showing photos. Sophia, smiling in a school uniform, now in Canada, a grandkid she'd never held, a chubby toddler with Nikos's nose. No see, she whispered, voice breaking, a tear tracing her cheek. I saw it then, I wasn't a burden. I was a surrogate, a chance to mend a hollow space. Days wove into rhythms, gathering eggs from skittish hens that pecked my hands, weeding rows of peppers and tomatoes under Nikos's gruff watch, my soft palms blistering, then callousing over. Nikos showed me olive rot, brown spots creeping up fruit. His patience steady as I yanked too hard, scattering leaves. Elena taught bread, laughing at my charred lumps. Practice, no waste, her hands guiding mine until dough rose right. My body screamed. City joints cracking, muscles I'd forgotten protesting. But it toughened, lean strength blooming under skin tanned by unrelenting sun. I met Costas, a fisherman mending nets by the dock. His weathered face cracking into a grin when I asked about his haul. Mullet, octopus, glinting in buckets. You stay, he said, Greek rough but clear, his hands deft with twine. Maybe, I replied, surprising myself, the sea breeze tugging my hair. 2 weeks in, shelling peas on their porch, the Aegean glinting beyond, Elena asked. Home? You won't go? Miming a plane with her hand. Tears hit me hard. Chicago's cold condo flashed Ethan's voice. You're fine, we're fine. Drowning my sketchbooks hidden under guest room boxes, my voice shrinking to whispers. No, I said, shaking, words spilling. He left me, years of me fading for him, hiding my art, my life to fit his. I mimed drawing, then slashing it out, Ethan's smirks, his why complicate things, echoing. Elena squeezed my hand, pointing to her heart, the farm, me, her eyes fierce with something like pride. Work, I said, mimicking Nikos raking olives. I stay. I work. Her smile was sunrise. Bright, blazing, a promise sealed. Next dawn they woke me. Boots scuffed from Sophia's teenage years, a wooden rake, groves aglow with first light. Olives, Elena said, combing branches with deft fingers. Olives raining onto nets spread below. My first swings were chaos, twigs flying, hands raw, olives bouncing wide. But Nikos guided, calm, his calloused hand adjusting mine. Weeks later I kept pace, pride swelling with each pile, my shoulders aching but strong. Sorting followed. Premium olives for oil, glossy and firm. Blemished for soap, pitted or soft. Elena's hawk eyes softening as I sharpened, her nudges rare. You fast, Nikos grunted one dusk. His English rough, rare praise warming me like the fire crackling inside. In her kitchen my bread failed, dense as stone, burnt black, until her lessons clicked, loaves rising golden, crusts crisp. Their food, tomatoes warm from the vine, goat cheese sharp from a neighbor's herd, oil pressed from our groves. Remade me, designer curves melting into lean muscle, my skin glowing with sweat and olive soap, no trace of the creams I'd once hoarded. I met Maria, a village girl barely 20, her black curls wild, selling honey at the square. You're the American, she said, English clipped from school, her grin sly. Run from a man. I laughed, sharp, too true, and we clicked, her chatter filling gaps as she taught me Greek curses, her honey sweetening my tea. 3 months in, Elena and Nikos took me to market. Our oil in chipped glass bottles, soap wrapped in twine, olives jarred with herbs, our table wobbly but proud. They shoved me forward. Sell, my Greek halting, customers chuckling as I mangled calamera, but we sold out, coins clinking. Elena handed me €60. Your part, fair work. My first earned cash since Ethan seized our finances, a lifeline he'd never dangled. I clutched it, stunned, freedom in crumpled euros. That night, at a taverna, fish sizzling on grills, wine sharp with resin, they sat me down. We old, Elena said, Nikos nodding. His hands folded on the table. Sophia not come back. Canada far, grandkid far. Olives need young. My breath hitched, wine glass trembling. We teach, Nikos said, voice low. Business yours, years now. Not guest, family. Stunned I stammered. I don't know enough, trees, pressing, sales. You learn, Elena said, resolute, her hand on mine. No rush, time plenty. I threw myself in, Nikos on grove soil, pests creeping in spring, pruning gnarled branches. Elena on ledgers, her scribbles a maze I digitized, streamlining sales with spreadsheets on their ancient laptop. I tweaked labels, flavor notes like nutty, bold, pairings with fish or bread. Our oil spreading to tavernas, Costa's slipping bottles to sailors who docked with weathered boats. Village life pulled me deeper. Coffee with widows in black shawls, fish fries on the beach where Maria dragged me to dance, a festival where I stumbled through steps, laughing, wine staining my borrowed skirt. One dusk, a tourist, American loud, snapped at me in the market. Your oil's too pricey, $10 for this? I bristled, Greek spilling out. Quality costs Kyrie, And Maria cackled, slapping my back. You're one of us now. Yana, a weaver with sharp eyes and a widow's quiet, asked one evening. America? Family. We sat by her stall, looms clacking. Parents gone, car crash years back, friends lost. I said, Ethan's slow cuts clear now. They're not our crowd, pruning my life bare. Husband. Ethan, I said, the name dust on my tongue. He look. Don't know, I admitted, my phone dormant in a drawer, a relic I'd ignored. Check, she pressed, threading wool. Close it, no. That night I powered up, emails flooded, friends worry. Lauren, where are you? A design job from my old mentor, still open, remote work with sustainable firms. Then Ethan. Tracked you to Greece, private investigator. Enough tantrum. I land Thursday. Be ready. 3 days away. Fury flared. He thought he'd leash me again, drag me back to his cage. Elena saw my face, slid over partnership papers. My name inked beside theirs, 1/3 owner, now legal and binding. You choose, she said, fierce, tapping them. Home here, business, friends. I nodded, steel forming, my jaw set. Hey, if this twist has you leaning in, and I bet it does, subscribe now. It's free, and the climax is massive. Stick with me for the payoff. Thursday dawned, sky blazing blue, me testing oil with Nikos. Pepper notes sharp in the shed, when a rental car growled up, dust swirling. Ethan stepped out. Sunglasses glinting, linen shirt crisp, loafers absurd on the dirt, sneering at the farmhouse, its cracked walls and sagging roof. Lauren! Shock widened his eyes. My boots scuffed, tan deep, hair loose in a braid, no trace of the blowouts he'd loved. What the hell happened to you? Life, I said, stepping out, oil vial still in hand. Why are you here? To take you home, he said, arms wide, charm dialed high. His lawyer voice smooth. This game's over, let's go, babe. I'm not your trophy, I said, rooted, my boots planted in soil I'd worked. He glanced at Elena and Nikos, hovering by the door, their faces stone. They keeping you. Some cult. They're teaching me, Olive's community worth, I said, sweeping a hand over the groves, silver leaves catching sun. I own part now, legal partner. He laughed, bitter, a sound I'd once flinched from. A farmer. Some eat, pray, love bullshit. Look, I'm sorry I left you in Italy. Drunk, stupid move. Happy. Let's move on. When did you apologize? I snapped, voice rising. Blocked calls, no word, why now? He shifted, cornered, sunglasses off, his hazel eyes. Once my anchor, narrowing. Clients ask where you are, friends too. It looks bad, our reputation's tanking. Yours, I corrected, cold. Not mine. Our life, he barked, stepping closer, cologne clashing with olive air. 10 years, success, status, a home people envy. Your cage, I said, unflinching. I was miserable, you didn't notice, didn't care. My art in boxes, my friends gone, your perfect life choked me. His jaw tightened, charm cracking. This isn't you, he pleaded, voice pitching. Dirt, labor, these people. Come back to comfort, to us. I handed him divorce papers, folded tight from Katerina, the village lawyer. Calm, my hand steady. That Lauren died in Italy. Abandoned, laughingstock. This one's alive. Business, roots, choices. We're done, Ethan. He clutched them, face cycling, shock, rage, a flicker of defeat. His fingers creasing the envelope. You'll regret this, Olive's at 60, broke, alone. He spat, voice low, a last jab. Maybe, I said, meeting his glare. But my regret's my call, not yours. Nikos muttered Greek, stepping forward. Ethan frowned, tense. Roads dark soon go, I translated, my voice flat, final. He lingered, staring me the farm, Elena's quiet strength, then climbed in, dust kicking as he drove off, papers in hand, a ghost fading. Elena linked her arm with mine. Nikos clapped my shoulder. We turned back. My house, my groves, my life. Ethan thought he'd broken me, left me helpless in Italy's dust. He'd set me free to rise stronger.